Hey, welcome to the Dog 10 Dogcast about training and behavior stuff with dogs. And we keep this to 10 minutes. That's why it's the Dog 10. I am Cara Ochterberg. Yeah, we try. I'm Cara Ochterberg. I'm an author and an advocate for shelter and rescue dogs, and I am not the brains in this bunch. This is the brains in this bunch. So who is going to be providing our answers? Introduce yourself.
My name is Crystal Dunn, and I am a longtime dog trainer and behavior consultant, and I do the Far-Fetched Dog Podcast. It's all about dog behavior, as you may have guessed.
Yay, and that's where you'll find us. Anyway, so before we get into this, I haven't seen Crystal in a bit, and what's going on with your world, your dog world?
Well, my dogs are napping behind me as usual, but my daughter is actually making pancakes by herself right now in the kitchen, which seems really adorable until you take into note that she's 9, and I really hope that she doesn't burn down the house. Yeah, she's really good though. She's like following recipes and stuff now. It's kind of her thing. So it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to the days where I no longer have to cook.
Yeah, I just got to those days. Anyway, but we'll understand now if you go zipping out of the room suddenly, we'll know why.
Yeah, exactly. Fire alarms start going off. You all know why.
So we're recording this on 11/11, which I know is Veterans Day, but it is also my anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Look, the flowers. My husband actually bought me flowers.
Oh, anyway. That's so sweet. Congratulations. What's your anniversary year? Can I ask that?
26.
26. That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, we were going to do something huge for our 25th, but it was COVID, so we didn't.
Are you going to do something big this time?
Nope. Going to the dog park after this? Ooh, speaking of, we're gonna have to get into that on another episode because I have a million questions, and probably others do too, about dog parks. So, but let me jump on because we have a really good question. This question came from Michelle Katzman, but it also came from Kelsey Chambers, and I almost think we saw it somewhere else too. So obviously this is a burning question in the minds of our listeners. Michelle asks, my question is how to teach your dog what not to eat. She hates I hate walking my dog and having her scarf up some unsavory tidbit, which is a really nice way of saying I don't want my dog to eat poop and other stuff. And this morning I had this battle this morning with my dog. Actually, it was Fanny. Otis is usually the one who eats everything, but this morning some lovely soul had dropped fried chicken bones out the window all along the road. So like every time I got her to leave one, we'd walk along and there'd be another one, and this went on, and I finally had to like take a turn and go a different route because of that. So don't throw your chicken out the door.
It's always the damn chicken bones, I swear.
Yeah. So, but Crystal, what do people do? Like how do they keep their animals from eating poop or chicken bones or mulch or whatever it is that you don't want them to eat?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's actually one of my favorite things to address in training because I really enjoy teaching the command or the cue that is associated with curbing this behavior, and that's leave it. It's my favorite. Leave it's really powerful because it teaches a dog that there are things in this world that are off limits to them. It starts out very simple. It's one of those commands where, you're just usually playing with it with treats and, leave it in this hand and then you get rewarded from the other hand. And then you switch up the hands and you start to generalize it out more. I won't go into the nitty gritty of how to teach it just because there's a ton of really great instructional videos on YouTube that anybody can look up to teach this particular command. The trick with this particular command, though, that I will say that isn't always taught in these videos is that you need to teach it with some sense of permanence. Meaning I see it taught a lot of the times where we're teaching leave it, like, okay, leave the treat on the floor, walk past it. And then at the end of the trick, they'll be like, okay, now you can have the treat, and they'll release the dog to eat the leave it treat. And I'm like, well, okay, that's fine if you just want to keep it a trick. But if you want any practical application at all, your dog needs to kind of start to understand that if you say leave it, these things are permanently off limits. So you would want to pick up the leave it trait that you're practicing with, or whatever it is you're practicing with, right? And put that up for a while. Just visually remove it from the scene. If it's the same treat that you're rewarding with, it doesn't even usually really matter. It's all visual for the dog. So if I say leave that on the floor and then let them take it a couple minutes later, your dog is going to think leave it is a very temporary command. But if I say leave it and they never get that thing visually and I always pick it up, they understand that, okay, that's just not a thing that's going to be for me. And if I leave it for my person, then something better is going to come with the deal. They're going to reward me. They're going to praise me. It's going to be a fair trade. Even if it's not, they know they're getting something out of the deal. And that's usually enough for most dogs. The cool thing about leave it is that it's easy to train extremely quickly and see results really fast. It's one of the few commands that can be taught in such a kind of a black and white kind of way, where you might see really great results within the first 5 minutes you're teaching it. Dogs seem to absorb it really quickly. They enjoy the exercise a lot if you're doing fair trades at first, especially. And so it can be a very self-rewarding process, and it helps with all kinds of things. It helps with curbing resource guarding behavior. It helps with curbing counter surfing. The uses go far beyond just leaving something on the floor like a treat.
I've used it, so not even just with food. So we learned it in puppy class. We all had to bring in something. I brought in puzzle pieces because Otis was eating all my puzzles. And we learned it there, and I was like, this is awesome. I don't know why I didn't learn it until like a year ago, but now I use it in a lot of, like, if we're walking and another dog is coming the other way and he is pulling or barking or whatever, I'll say, leave it, like with my leave it voice.
Yeah.
And he knows, he turns back to me like, okay, I left it. What do I get? Like
Yeah, exactly.
I use it in a lot of ways, like with any of them, and all of my dogs know it now. And like, I just find it so applicable to other things, not just food. So I think it's a valuable skill every dog should have, everybody should teach.
Where people usually fall short with leave it is they failed to extend it beyond introductory levels, right? So you get a very basic leave it with a treat on the floor or toy or something that you're practicing with, like shoes or toilet paper for a lot of puppies. And that's the beauty of it. You can change out all these objects. You can help your dog generalize it to mean to apply to a lot of different distractions, even just auditory ones, right? Even just visual ones on the road, like, another dog approaching. But in order for them to really absorb it and get good at it and generalize that, you have to train the generalization in, right? Which means you need to practice it with other dogs, or you need to practice it with other people and let them know that command also applies to those things. It also is a visual thing too. Like, you want to practice, if your dog is a terrible counter surfer, you want to practice leave it's with leave it's on the counter. So they get that very specific picture in their head that translates like, oh, okay, those rules apply here too. And the more you practice generalizing it, the better the dog gets at generalizing that command in general, which is, you'll see that them progress faster the more you get through it. But we really do need to kind of set them up to apply it to different scenarios. So if you only ever train it in your living room, your dog is only ever going to leave it in your living room. If you bring biscuits with you on your walk, though, you can plant leave it's along the way and do a little course and practice leave it while you're out on your walk. The other thing is, oftentimes we don't see the leave it before they get their nose down to it, before they get it in their mouth. And that would involve teaching a completely different cue, like drop it or release. Right. And that means, once it's in there, it's got to be able to come back out. And that's another thing that's really easy to Google videos on and teach. I always talk about, I love Kiko Pup's channel because she does like a lot of really great training instructional videos that kind of go through step by step. But yeah, it's super, super simple things to teach, but putting extra work into applying them in a lot of different environments with a lot of different objects is the key to extending those commands out into real world scenarios.
Great. See, we did it in less than 10 minutes for once.
Gosh, I always feel like I'm running a short I'm sprinting.
Yeah. Well, that's an important skill. I'm really glad we covered this one. Oops, it was my phone.
Just in time. It's the alarm.
Yeah, it was the alarm telling us we're finished. So thanks for joining us on the Dog Tent. If you have a question or something you'd like Crystal to address, please email her or email me. You can find me at Cara Writes, Cara's with a C, carawrites.com. And you can also there find links to my Who Will Let the Dogs Out nonprofit, and all my writing and books and blogs. And this also. How can they find you, and where can they send questions, Crystal?
You can find my podcasts at farfetchedpodcast.com. You can also email me at farfetchedpod@gmail.com with any questions, or just drop them in the socials comments underneath any of our posts.